Welcome to the Impressa Era podcast, a realm where intuition flows through real life and your personal power is celebrated. I'm your host, Queen Impressa, and together we'll explore tarot, self-mastery, sensuality, and aligned growth. Now take a deep breath, relax your shoulders, and let's get into it. Hello and welcome back, my beautiful rays of sunshine. I'm in such a good mood today, and I want you to come join me on another podcast episode of the Impressa Era. So, before we get started on this exciting topic today, let's ground ourselves and get in the moment. So, do me a favor and just relax your shoulders, soften your face, relax that jaw because I know it's clenched, unclench that, and let your face just naturally sit and be. Let your breath deepen just a little and let yourself arrive here in this moment with me. This conversation today deserves your full presence, so please do your best to sit down and really be with this podcast and this podcast only. This is one of those episodes that I'm going to share with you where I want you to just slow down and to remember something deeper than your day-to-day routine. So today we are stepping into ancestral work, and I'm so hyped. We're going to talk about how to honor your ancestors, how to communicate with them, and how to build a relationship that feels grounded and safe and real. Firstly, I want to begin by meeting you exactly where you are. Some of you listening may feel deeply connected to your lineage. You might already have practices or memories that guide you, which is great, so keep doing your thing. You can still listen to this episode because you never know. Maybe I'll drop a gem of knowledge and something to add to your tool belt. Some of you might feel curious, but very unsure. Maybe you felt a little bit of nudges. You had those moments of intuition or a quiet pull towards something you can't really explain. And some of you may feel completely disconnected. You might feel like maybe your family history feels complicated, painful, unclear, or unknown. Maybe you were never taught anything about where you come from. And all of that is welcome here, I promise you. We are in this together to find answers. You don't need a perfect understanding of your lineage to begin connecting to it. You come from people who have lived, loved, created, survived, and carried wisdom in ways that made your existence here possible today. And that alone is enough to open the door. When I talk about ancestor veneration, I'm talking about relationship. I'm talking about tending to your roots. I'm talking about honoring the lineage that flows through you while still standing fully in your own power. There's such a quiet strength in acknowledging where you came from, and something stabilizing about knowing you're not moving through this practice or this life alone, ever. Even if you may feel like it at times, you're not. There are people, energy, and spirits who have walked before you, who are walking next to you, who understand things that you are still learning, and who can support you in ways that feel real, subtle, and sometimes even profound and inexplicable. Now, let me expand what I mean when I say ancestors. For some of us, this includes blood relatives who have passed on, grandparents, great grandparents, family members whose names you might know or may never heard spoken out loud. There are also ancestral energies connected to culture, land, and your community. Those are the people whose traditions, practices, and ways of being shaped the world you exist in. Some people may also feel connected to what I call chosen ancestors. So these can be spiritual guides, mentors, or figures that you resonate very deeply with, even if there's no direct blood connection. Your ancestral space, can be very personal, but it can also be very layered. It can grow with you over time, and you're allowed to build this in a way that feels aligned. So let's talk about how to begin honoring them. And I want to keep this simple because this work does not need to feel overwhelming at all. What I want you to do is start with presence. An ancestral altar can be as simple or as detailed as you want it to be. It could be a small table, a shelf, a corner in your room, or even a digital space if that feels like the only way you can access it right now. And to be quite honest, it doesn't have to be physical. If you can visualize things in your mind, there are some people, including myself, where if I close my mind during a meditation and the guided meditation asks me to visualize a white light or a door or anything, I can't see shit. But I know that other people can. So if you can visualize things in your mind, you can also reserve a mind space for your ancestors while you're meditating. Didn't think about that one now, did you? You're welcome. Don't say I never gave you nothing. Now, if you want to stay in the physical realm of creation, you might include photos or objects that remind you of your family, your culture, and your heritage. I also highly recommend placing a glass of water there because water holds so much energy and memory, but in a very powerful way. I also recommend lighting a candle and taking a moment to sit with it. You can speak your ancestors' names if you know them. You can say thank you. You can say something along the lines of, I welcome the ancestors who walk with love, protection, and guidance. You can sit in silence and simply feel. This is how the relationship begins through consistency, care, and those small moments that build over time. Now, let's slow this down a little more and really sit in communication because this is where the relationship becomes real. A lot of people expect communication with ancestors to feel loud, undeniable, and super obvious right away. And unfortunately, I'm here to tell you it's not going to be that way every time. In my experience, and in the experience of so many people I've worked with, it often begins in a much softer way. So it could feel like a whisper before it ever feels like a voice. And if you're always looking for something big, you can miss the subtle ways they're already trying to reach you. You're not going to get a phone call or a text message saying, we're here trying to reach you regarding your extended warranty. Like, no, they're not going to always come out like that. But it definitely can be soft and subtle if you just take a moment to really feel and be in the moment. Now, speaking of that, I want to share a moment with you. There was a time where I was feeling deeply uncertain. I was questioning everything in my life, my path, my decisions, and honestly just feeling so disconnected from myself. And I remember sitting down, just sitting with a candle lit and a glass of water nearby. And I had no ritual planned. I had nothing in mind of what I was going to do. I had just had it. And I said out loud, if there is anyone in my lineage who walks with love, who wants to guide me, I am open to feeling you. And then I sat there and nothing dramatic happened in that moment. There was no sudden voice or overwhelming sign. But what I did feel in that one moment was a shift. It was like a sense of calm that hadn't been there a few minutes before. And later that night, I had a dream. It wasn't a clear dream. It wasn't, it didn't have a direct message with words spelled out. It was very symbolic. And I saw someone that I didn't recognize, but she felt very familiar in a way that I can't explain. She was cooking, moving slowly and intentionally, and there was no rush in her energy. There was patience and presence. And when I woke up, the message landed without needing to be explained. The message was to slow down. I was rushing something that was meant to be built with care. And that moment changed the way I understood communication because it showed me that communication doesn't always come through words. It can come through feeling and through imagery and through energy that speaks in a language way deeper than logic. So when you begin communicating with your ancestors, give yourself permission to experience it in different ways. You can speak to them out loud. You can whisper your thoughts. You can sit in silence and simply just open your space up. You can also ask questions, talk to them like you're on FaceTime, and then go about your day, allowing the answer to come through naturally. You can just put on their favorite music and dance and sing along to their music, and they'll be right there with you. Pay attention to your dreams. If you have repeating dreams, I want you to start noticing what's repeating. Write it down. And something I want you to really hold on to is this. You don't need to force communication with your ancestors. You're just building trust with them, and trust takes time, as we all know. It deepens through the consistency, through showing up and being open without pressure. There's such a certain rhythm to this, and once you find it, it starts to feel familiar. So, now let's talk about offerings. Offerings are a way of showing appreciation, respect, and care to your ancestors. They're gestures of connection. So, you can offer things like water, food, tea, coffee, flowers, herbs, music. Literally anything that you may gift to someone who is walking this earthly plane right now, you can gift to your ancestors. Now, I would caution. I know I've seen some people do it. They put some herbs, some specific herbs on there, or use cigars or cigarettes or alcohol, libations. Be very mindful when you're using those sorts of things. You want to make sure that the ancestors that you're trying to communicate will approve of those decisions and respect those. Because if they had issues here on this plane while they were living with those things, you don't necessarily want to offer them. You want to offer them something to make them light, softer, and more willing to work with you. So, not anything that would suppress your ancestors. Just think about what your ancestors might have enjoyed. If you have memories with them, what were their favorite candies? Or what did they like to eat on Sundays? Think about what feels meaningful to them and to you. And if you don't know, that's totally fine. Keep it simple. Just put some water, a candle, and a moment of your time on that altar. That alone carries so much weight. Consistency matters way more than perfection, and you don't need to do everything all at once. I think I've said this in my previous podcasts. You don't have to get all of the materials. You don't have to go and buy everything from Five Below or the Dollar Tree. All you have to do is stay simple and stay consistent. Now, one thing I do want to touch on today as well is just important as connection, and that is boundaries. Because your spiritual space deserves to feel safe and grounded. And it's supposed to feel like something that supports you, not something that overwhelms you. So when you begin opening yourself up to ancestral work, you're allowed to be intentional about who you're connecting to. So you can be clear and direct. You can say, I only welcome the ancestors who walk with love, protection, wisdom, and guidance. The ancestors that only have your best interests at heart. And that clarity really does matter. So I want to share another moment with you. There was a time when someone came to me feeling overwhelmed after trying to connect with their ancestors. So they had gone into it with a super open invitation, no boundaries, no direction, just chaos, right? Just a desire to feel something. And they just felt something so heavy and confusing. And they didn't feel grounded in it at all. It felt mucky. So we slowed everything down. We brought it back to intention, created a very clear invitation. Only those who walk in love, only those who respect their energy, and only those who support their highest good. We also added some grounding practices, some protection, and we made the space feel softer. And everything shifted. The connection became more clear and supportive. And that is the difference boundaries can create. You're not closing yourself off to anything that you want to invite in. You're creating a space where the right energy can meet you. And I also want to bring up something that does not get talked about enough. You're allowed to have complicated feelings about your lineage. Please understand that. You're allowed to recognize that not every ancestor represents something you want to connect with. Everybody has ops, everybody has enemies. You're allowed to choose healing. You're allowed to choose peace. And you're allowed to choose who gets access to your energy, even in the spiritual realm. Your practice belongs to you. And when your boundaries are clear, your connection becomes stronger, more stable, more aligned, because it's rooted in respect for yourself as much as it's rooted in respect for those who came before you. Now, let's bring this into your daily life, because ancestral connection is not only something that happens at an altar, it shows up in how you move through the world and in your intuition. And sometimes in the strength you call on during difficult moments. When you begin to build this relationship, you're going to notice a shift. You're going to feel more supported and grounded, like we spoke about. You're going to be more aware of your inner voice. There will be a confidence that grows inside you when you know that you're backed by something deeper. And I want to leave you with this. Please remember, through everything that you go through, you are someone's answered prayer. You are someone's continuation. You are someone's legacy. The fact that you are here means that so many things aligned, survived, and unfolded to make your life possible. And when you choose to honor that, even in the smallest ways, you're strengthening something that moves backward and forward at the same time. So take your time with this. Start small, stay consistent, let it feel natural, let it feel like something you're returning to, not something you have to force. And if this is something you feel called to explore more deeply, to understand what energies are walking with you, to receive guidance that feels personal and clear, you already know where to find me, and I'll meet you there. Now, do me a favor. I know that was a lot of heavy talk here, so just take a breath again. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale, and bring yourself back gently. And carry this with you, because you are never walking alone. So for now, stay grounded, stay protected, and stay in your power. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye, lovelies.